In this video, I'm going to explain the real reason why men are interested in dating young girls in their early 20s. To get us started, I'm going to play some footage that made me laugh so much when I first saw it.
Do you think it's normal for men of all ages to be attracted to young women?
No. Pretty much men who are like not sterile anymore, you should not be liking younger women. Like you need to fuck up. You need to be like, aren't you supposed to be in like a nursery home already? Like, why are you like hitting on younger girls? Okay, anyway, next question.
That was such a funny interview. They had such a good banter going back and forth. She's going to feature more in an upcoming interview video. So if you want to see more from her, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you'll be notified when that video comes out. Now, I understand what she's saying. For really old guys, it can get a little bit strange, a bit weird if they're still hitting on really young girls. There's got to be some cutoff. And I think the rule is half your age plus 7. It seems like a good rule to me. But even if it's socially a little bit strange, we need to acknowledge the biological reality that men of all ages are going to find young women sexually desirable. It is largely biological because we judge a woman's attractiveness based on fertility cues. Is she healthy? Is she young? Is she beautiful? Indicating good genes. Of all of these fertility cues, I would say that youth is probably the most important one. But this isn't going to be a video telling you what you already know, that men like young women because of their physical attractiveness. Instead, I'm going to explain how young women are attractive to men because they are malleable. It is going to be very easy to take certain things that I say in this video out of context and paint me in a very negative light. People are going to want to say, Alex says that you should date young girls because they're malleable and you can make them submit to your dominant masculine will and force them to do whatever you want. So let me address that to begin with and state in absolutely clear terms that I am not saying that. Any guy who wants to be with a young girl just so he can brainwash her is just a loser who's frightened of a woman with her own mind. Guys who fetishize youth in women because they don't ever want to be challenged are pathetic. So when I say that young women are appealing and attractive because they are malleable, I'm not talking about manipulating them, forcing them to submit to your will so that they never challenge your ego. I'm talking about an opportunity to preserve her femininity, to nurture her kindness, her compassion, her softness, to help her grow into a sovereign, healthy, functional individual. A recurring theme on this channel is the absolute importance of only dating high-quality women. I've got my video, The 10 Characteristics of a High-Quality Woman. For people who haven't seen that or just need the reminder, I'll put a link down below. A big concern that a lot of guys have is, are there actually high-quality women out there? Alex, you talk about high-quality women so often. Do they even exist? I want to remind people that I have never ever claimed that high-quality women are common. They are not. They are extremely rare. I'm also of the opinion that high-quality men are extremely rare, but that's a topic for another day. But when it comes to finding a high-quality woman to get into a partnership with, a lot of men struggle to actually find such women. The few high-quality women that they do know are already in romantic relationships. So if you don't meet any high-quality women, or the ones that you do know are already taken, what do you do? What options are available to you? Well, I would say that if you can't find a high-quality woman who's already fully formed, intelligent, good morals, good life goals, feminine, beautiful, if you can't find a woman like that who's already the full package, your next best option is to find a young woman with potential. It's like buying stock in an already established company with a good reputation. You know there are going to be good returns, but so does everybody else, and so you're late to the party. All of the stocks have been snapped up at low prices, and now the price is too high for you to enter the market. All the high-quality women have been snapped up by other men, and now you can't find one. But what about that exciting startup, that company that doesn't already have an established reputation or track record? You can't be certain that it's going to pay off, but the early signs are promising, and if you get in early, you invest time now, the payoff in the future could be huge. Likewise, the market is probably short of mid to late 20s women who are already intelligent, established, interesting individuals. But there are lots of single women between the ages of 18 and 21 who might not be fully formed high-quality women yet, but with the right nurturing, absolutely have the potential to become that person. Whether or not a young woman realizes that potential largely depends on what experiences she has. And I'm going to talk about what those experiences should be and what your role is going to be in all of that. But first, I want to tell you about my adults only 18 plus content. It's about a man who calls his wife's vagina ugly. In this content, I talk about vagina manners, I talk about their appearance, I talk about their smell, good hygiene practices, what causes a potential odor. I talk about how to handle it if your partner insults your dick. I talk about the power play involved in body shaming and how to handle a partner who's trying to pull this kind of crap on you, as well as some tips on how to make your genitals more appealing. I love talking about sex, but certain topics, certain words are just guaranteed to get me demonetized on YouTube. And so I put all of my more explicit content on Patreon. It's just $5 a month. Go ahead and sign up. You get access to everything. Okay, so back to the benefits of dating a young woman. What you've got to understand is that if you're meeting a woman in her late 20s or early 30s, guaranteed she's already had some experiences with men. That's not the case with younger women. They might have had like one casual relationship, maybe in high school with their sweetheart or something, but largely they haven't had time to generate lots of experiences. And so their virtue is still relatively intact. They're still quite pure and optimistic in their outlook. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again because it so perfectly demonstrates my point. When I go out and I do interviews for the channel, asking women to have a chat with me, if I speak to young women, straight out of high school in their early 20s, I get positive, uplifting responses. Wow, what's this for? YouTube, great, I'd love to be involved. They're friendly, they're bubbly, it leaves me feeling, uplifted afterwards. Every time I approach women over 30, not every time, but most times, it's suspicion. Like, why? What's this for? Who are you? Why are you speaking to me? I get lots of questions asking why I don't feature more older women in my interviews videos, and that is one of the reasons. Older women are just less pleasant to interact with. Young women make you feel good after you speak to them. You're like, wow, what a nice interaction. Older women, just by speaking to them, they have this way of making you feel like you've done something wrong. How did it get like this? What happened between the ages of 18 and 30 that made these women become bitter and suspicious of men? It was either out of bad luck or probably more likely their own bad choices, but they've had some experiences in relationships with men that left them mistrustful and kind of angry. I've seen some comments online of people who seem to take a kind of perverse pleasure in seeing a once young, youthful, beautiful woman become embittered by life because she's made such bad choices in dating throughout her 20s. And I don't share that at all. I find it overwhelmingly sad when I see an older woman whose light has just gone out. She's lost her purity. She's lost her optimism. I feel really, really sad for her. She's lost her trust. She's lost her compassion, and gradually she's losing any femininity that she had. There are women that I knew back in my early 20s, and if I meet them now and they're still single, it's really common to see that life has just changed them and not for the better. I find it really, really sad. I'm not saying that they're innocent victims. Maybe the bad dating experiences was just horrible luck, or maybe it is just the natural consequence of their own bad choices. I don't really know, but regardless, it makes me sad to see something that once had so much potential just fade away like that. But you know what? This is not universal. Just because a woman is older doesn't mean that she's lost her femininity. That doesn't happen in every case. There are women out there in their 30s, 40s, 50s plus who still shine with a radiant, youthful, feminine spirit. And you know what all of those women have in common? You know what creates that still retained youthful femininity? It's a relationship with a really great guy. I swear, this is how it works. You get this girl who, instead of dating 5 horrible guys, each increasingly worse, she just finds one high-quality guy and she settles down with him early. He treats her nicely. He encourages her self-growth. As a couple, they set life goals. They have children. When all of that happens, she stays feminine. Why? Well, it's because the parts of life that require toughness, that require some masculinity, she's in a relationship with a man and he handles all of that so that she doesn't have to. She's free to stay in the feminine. When really difficult stuff comes up, he takes care of it. After all, that's his role. He's the man. He's the masculine one. He confronts those challenges and allows her to stay within that feminine space, beautiful and unspoiled. When you meet an older woman who still retains that beautiful, youthful, feminine spirit, that glow, it's an amazing thing to behold. But remember, she wasn't able to keep her femininity intact all by herself. Life does require masculinity, and the man in her life had an important role to play. So it's not a bad idea to find a young woman who might not be high quality yet, but she has that potential. And at the very least, she hasn't started down the wrong path and already begun making bad choices that are going to lead her away from her own femininity. You can step in and provide the masculine for her, which is going to give her space to let her feminine flourish. That's so much better than her having to grow in her masculinity, which I promise she really resents having to do. And this is why men like young women. It's because they're a good investment. Men want their partners to be feminine, and if they're busy putting effort, time, resources into a woman who's older and has already been embittered and hardened by life and has already a strong developed masculine side, trying to coax her back to her femininity, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be an uphill battle, and ultimately, it is not a sensible allocation of your resources and time. It is a bad investment. It's like trying to plant seeds in the desert where the soil quality is terrible and there's no rainfall. If you want to enjoy the fruits of your labor and ultimately consume delicious vegetables, then you have to plant those seeds in a coastal area that has good soil, good rainfall. That is a good investment of your time, and it's the same with dating. Any time that you spend with a younger woman is going to have a much bigger impact on her life than time you spend with an older woman. So your first step is to make sure that you're a high quality guy. Make sure you've got your self-esteem intact, you know where you're going in life, you've got your morals sorted out, you've developed your intelligence, your wisdom. Once you've got yourself together and you genuinely like yourself, you have a good relationship with your own self, the next step is to try and find a high quality woman, find your life partner. But like I said, they can be extremely rare. The ones that do exist are likely already been snapped up by other men. So if you can't find a high quality woman, my advice is to be patient. Find a younger girl who isn't a high quality woman yet, but who shows really promising signs of potential. Find a girl who, with your support and guidance, can grow into a high quality woman. Remember, if you want to hear more from me, including my more explicit adult-only content, then check out my Patreon, including my latest post on the guy who calls his wife's vagina ugly.